hideous woman.
I am a horrible, I don't even talk about not looking like myself.
Yeah.
There were people at the show that didn't read the program and didn't know it was me. Hey everybody, welcome to the Good for Business podcast. I'm Colin Krieger, and here is my co-patriot in the podcast business, Jake Reeves. Welcome to the show, Jake.
Man, what's up, man? I'm super excited to be here. This is it's an honor to be here. I had you on mine not long ago.
Yeah, it's only been a couple weeks.
It's all come around. Yeah,
I've been dancing in a dress for the last 2 weeks.
I really wanted to come see you. By the way, you are a hideous woman.
I am a horrible. I don't even talk about not looking like myself.
Yeah.
There were people at the show that didn't read the program and didn't know it was me.
You're not a pretty woman.
No, not at all.
Not
in the least. And I wasn't supposed to
I'm
be.
not either. But
yeah, I don't know. Well, what you do on your weekends is your business. I was Edna Turnblad in Hairspray the Musical, the Golden Triangle Theater, which sold out 3 shows. Had over 1,000 people come to it in little town of Columbus, Mississippi. So it's pretty awesome. I will never do it again. I will never dance in heels because I have discovered new bones in my feet and my legs that are still hurting me today. And I cannot wait to go to Maypop Spa tomorrow and let Justine break my toes and feet.
Yeah, I was going to be there, but as I was telling you before the show started, I had a wheelbarrow fall through a roof. And
we're giving away all the free content they're talking about.
Yeah, so all weekend I've been working on a roof, trying to get the hole patched.
Well, tell us your current situation before we go through your life story. What do you do?
So primarily I'm a real estate investor. Most people know me for being the head coach at Relentless MMA, and then I also have a podcast, Big Niggers Podcast. But if I were to pick what I do at this point in my life, I'd say I'm a real estate investor. Mostly buy and hold, commercial and residential, mostly commercial right now, real estate. That's like my main source of income.
All of it in Columbus?
Mostly. Some in a little bit in Aberdeen, a little bit in Vernon, but mostly in Columbus.
I will tell you this. I had Thomas Taylor on the podcast here, and we've got 2 other people who've literally moved to town. Thomas Taylor, I don't know about world-class, but an American-class talent in the real estate business.
Yeah.
His
acquisitions is out of this world.
Acquisition systems, all kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And he literally researched 10 different micropolitan areas, small towns in the United States, and chose to come here.
Yeah.
And I would say there's an epidemic of real estate investment happening in Columbus, Mississippi right now. Not from big companies, and I don't mean it in a bad way.
There's some of that.
Yeah,
there's some bigger companies.
But there's a lot of people who are going to buy 8 or 10 flip houses this year in Columbus, Mississippi. Not 1 or 2 people like there were 5 years ago.
Now's the time, in my opinion, too.
We just had this discussion. Dan Cowan from the steel mill had one of the aluminum mill directors.
Oh, this is my water.
It is at the Rotary Club of Columbus that I joined while drunk last month.
Nice.
And or joined because I was drunk. It's fair to say. And that's what we were talking about in the crowd was that the steel mill and stuff. The biggest challenge with the big factories out there is only about 1/3 of the people live in the Golden Triangle, and the 1/3 that live here are the people that work 9 to 5. The shift workers, generally speaking, live further away in cheaper places, where they live in an RV. Well, now that we're starting to see Turbic Taylor, Klockner Metals, and these smaller, the guy that fixes the forklifts and those sort of stuff.
Right.
Well, they usually have 2 shifts instead of 3, and all the grown-ups work 8 to 5, 9 to 5, the engineers and stuff. And guess what? 80% of those people are living in the Golden Triangle. And those people are buying decent houses and living here, and they're choosing Columbus, choosing Starkville or West Point. They're not driving from as far away. And we're going to see
make sense too.
And we're going to see more and more and more of those
Yeah.
in the future, and that's what Thomas Taylor is betting on. That's what he's got a couple of friends that we met at that poker night that they're just buying stuff, and they're just standing there the way we have quietly for years, going, "You are just." Mainly because they grew up here and they might have some sort of prejudice, not black or white prejudice, just like Columbus is a loser, and you're just going like,
So I moved here for that reason. So originally, I'm not from far away. I'm originally from Vernon. And the reason I moved here as a kid was because my dad was an investor, and we moved here because we started actually another business here originally. And most of our clients, we had a vending business. We refilled, drink machines and snack machines, and then we started investing in real estate here, and the market just pulled us to here, and that's how I ended up here.
Yeah.
I like the market here. I like Columbus, man. We talked about this a while back. I love this town. It's got like all the charm of a small town, but it's kind of got its own thing going on. There's a lot of culture. lot of significant people that have lived here and have lived here at one time or another. One person I don't think gets talked about enough. I know this is what the show's about, but it's like Henry Armstrong Jr.
Yeah.
Very possibly the greatest boxer
He
that
had
ever
the greatest
lived.
year in boxing history.
Yeah, I
think he was 23-0 in 1 year, and he fought like 6 title belts. Yeah.
Simultaneously defending 4 belts at the same time.
Yeah.
With 2-week layoffs between fights. So he was going all the way up to, I think, almost like 170 pounds, and then all the way back down to like 140 pounds within a couple weeks, and defending those belts simultaneously. Teddy Atlas, probably the biggest boxing coach right now, has him as the number 1 pound-for-pound boxer of all time. The problem is his era was just before everything was televised.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why everybody talks about Ali being the greatest, because Ali had the it factor. He's absolutely not the greatest.
And you're always going to have recency bias, even though Ali isn't that recent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's like the Elvis of boxing. He had the look. You're coming in when television's just now really taking off.
Just 3 networks and not 6 billion things. Yeah.
And so everybody's seeing him. He's controversial. He can talk. He's really great at was really great at cutting promos. He in terms of what you want to do as a fighter to make money, he was really good at that. And he looked good. And he was in this like up and coming era of television. Yeah. And that's why he's considered the greatest. I don't think he's the greatest. I don't know that I'd put him in my top 5. Yeah. But he's he's like the Conor McGregor of his day. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Saw the spot and took it and went like,
yeah,
I'm going to triple down. I remember the first when Conor broke out, and it wasn't for fighting. It was just because he was talking trash at a press conference.
He could talk.
And I was just like, it got me interested in UFC again, because I was just like, this is entertaining. And like if he had lost a few fights in a row, I probably would have started treating him like the villain. At the beginning, he just came out winning too.
Yeah.
So you're like, well, I like this guy. And
villain or not, I tell this to my guys all the time. You're not paid on how good you are. You're paid on how well you sell. That's how you get paid as a fighter. You get paid on how many butts do you actually put in the seat. And it doesn't matter how you put those butts in the seat. Yep. People watching because they hate you, it's just like people watching because they love you. Yeah. It doesn't matter. And that's something wrestling knows. And if fighters that are willing to kind of play that heel and cut promos and be funny, and you have the personality to do it, and you have enough skill to back it up, those guys make a lot.
Chael Sonnen's a great example. He's going to have a career the rest of his life.
Yep.
Just because of, the 2 peak years he had he did back it up, you know what I mean? And then when he lost, he'd be like, man, he kicked my ass, you know what I mean? But the next day he'd be in the promo talking trash about Brazil and all this other stuff.
But it was a great example because he was virtually an unknown for so many years. I remember watching Chael Sonnen when he fought Babalu. Nobody knew who he was.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until he got in the cage and says, Anderson Silva, you absolutely suck.
Yeah.
And cuts that epic promo.
What does he say? I'm a gangster for Portland, Oregon, wherever he's from. I forget the city, but he's from Oregon.
Westland, Oregon.
I wouldn't even know it and I wasn't watching while it was live. I just kept seeing his clips. And then he's like, there were days, he goes, my neighbors, they were twins. They had to share a car. Yeah. And he goes, you think the maid came to my house every day? No, 3 times a week, man. And he's like, you're growing up in luxury in Brazil, and I'm stuck in the streets. And I'm going, this is just...
It's just hilarious.
Just brilliant.
Yeah, hilarious.
And you can imagine, like, poor guy, like if he had just some normal job, he'd be the funniest guy at the factory, but he saw the opportunity and took it. You know? That's something that you thrived. I don't know. I know you said you backed off a little on YouTube from the MMA standpoint. Is that right?
Yeah, I was trying to rebrand a little bit, and
you were relatively famous there, didn't you have?
Yeah, that was actually during the rebranding phase, honestly. But I don't know that I'd say famous. I think we had like 60,000 followers.
Pretty good, yeah. You did expand. You and I talked on your podcast about how do you expand. Do you just stay local and try to focus on local, or are you trying to get a brand outside of here? Because like for me, it's rewarding, even though I only have this many views or whatever. I have 1 million views, but they're only in the Golden Triangle.
That's not more impressive, honestly.
That's a lot. Like, you know what I mean? And so, like, that's where do you go? People, I think too many kids, I talk to my kids all the time about, or they'll make some reference to trying to be famous or, or TikTok or whatever. And I'm like, are you going to get discouraged that way? Like, if my daughter's up at Ole Miss, if she started just doing not restaurant reviews, but just, go to say that all these businesses in Oxford are awesome, you'll be more popular than anybody. You won't to have a college kid, you wouldn't be paying for food either.
And you have potential clients when you are ready to like pivot
Do anything, yeah.
to do something else. Because that's really the whole point of a brand, right? And I talk about this with my fight team too. Like, there's not a lot of money in fighting, but what it is it's inherently good content. People enjoy watching it. People like following it. And so if you can kind of like take that and build it when you're starting out, and when you're ready to pivot, which inevitably everybody is, even if you become world champion,
Yeah.
you're going to have to pivot. And the chances of you making enough money in your time fighting that you're going to last the rest of your life,
Yeah.
not real good.
Yeah, I think, of all the, even sports or fame and stuff, like, yeah, even musicians don't last. 99% of famous musicians don't last more than 10 years. And if you're not a premier baseball or NBA player, forget the NFL's not even on that list. I know some are making $20 million, but like, you can reasonably see a 21-year-old who got $20 million being broke by the time they're 70.
30.
Yeah. And you see the ones now that played 20 years ago, and they can't. They used to get, everybody used to get a car dealership, and now they're like, they might not even mention that they were an NFL player. You know what I mean? Because it is hard to translate that into something, especially if you left your town that you lived in.
Right.
Like, you can only have so many Jeffrey Simmons or whatever that come back to, and again, from Macon, Mississippi. Like, you don't want to build a car dealership in Macon.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, it's a cashing that opportunity in, but building goodwill at the same time. Which you obviously, Chael Sonn's a good example of. You can do that as the heel.
It's the easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
It's the easiest way to do it is to do it as the heel, because the baby face, it's just everybody's trying to play the baby face a lot of times. Or the people who are playing heel don't know they're like the Nate Diaz. Like, he's not doing it on purpose.
No, I don't want to say anything bad about him, because he would just he feels like he's going to come beat me up. Knock the meat out of my
I think he's in California, though. I don't think he's going
to I'll be all right.
It
could still hurt me very. But Chael Sonnen was so self-aware that he was doing it. He wouldn't crack in a smile. And I only know that, again, I'm 4 steps away from it.
Yeah.
Like, it took that, Conor McGregor and him, for me to be like, I'll watch UFC. I'll watch this to see what happens.
Because you watch for the story.
Yeah.
That's what really drives you to watch a fight or to watch anything. You watch for the story.
Well, the biggest viral videos from all the UFC and any fighting is it's my podcast, the asshole. It's not the guy who's playing a heel. It's the guy who really is a dick and doesn't know when to stop. And they can be fighting a heel and literally just causing a problem at the weigh-in. And then when they get their ass kicked, everybody loves it, because it's seeing the bully beat up story, you know? And a lot of those guys don't realize, like, that they're just actually being an asshole.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
We've all been assholes in our life.
Every one of us. Me especially.
I say that all the time. I said, somebody said something like, you do this stuff and I'm sure everybody loves you. I said, I've had multiple people I know go through the 12-step process, and nobody's ever come to me and apologized to me for shit. So I said, was at least an enabler, maybe. I said, I've got several friends who are like, hey, did so-and-so come and apologize to you? I'm like, no. Maybe he didn't wrong me or something, but that's one of those steps. I don't know which one it is. Everybody's the villain in somebody's story.
That's a fact, 100%. I think in the fight game too, there's a certain individual that's attracted to that a lot of the time, and it's very difficult to be good at that sport unless you're a little troubled. You got to be a little crazy. There's got to be a little bit of something about you. A normal person doesn't want to lock themselves in a cage with another person and get in a fist fight for a living.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Nobody wants to do that. And I'm telling you, as me who's done it, it's not fun. There's nothing fun about it. You're not doing it because it's fun. I think some people think it's fun, but it's not fun. There's something about it that's kind of addicting, but it's not fun. It's just, you kind of got to be a little off, There's just some people that are that way, and the kind of people that are attracted to doing it a lot of times are kind of a little bit unhinged, a little bit different, a little bit crazy, and so that does help build. But then you end up with, like you said, 2 heels, and we can get into what we were starting off with, but I think back to the Wanderlei Chael beef, like, and you probably know this, but they were on the Ultimate Fighter together. Yeah. And Wanderlei is like trying to fight him.
I've watched that 20-minute highlight video 100 times. I love it, because Chan's like, what are you? Just tell me when you want to fight, man. We can't do it here. Let's sell some tickets.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll fucking kill you. I'll kill you.
I want to now. And then, something that people may not know. If you're a fan of Chael, you probably know this, but off camera, he pulled Vanderlei to the side and was like, God, buddy, like, I'm playing the heel. I'm giving you the opportunity to be the hero. Like, I'm playing this guy. You're ruining this. You be the good guy. Let me be the bad guy, and let's sell some tickets. But, Vanderlei didn't understand that. He's from the favelas of Brazil, man.
That's what he was mad that he was talking trash about Brazil.
Yeah.
And he was saying the most generic stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like, I know you speak English. You don't need a translator. And I was just like, it's my favorite dang fighting video of all time. So
yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it somewhat translates into the real estate world and fighting. So most of your stuff now is commercial rentals, but you do some.
Yeah, we do some other stuff too. There's
long-term stuff though, not like you're not doing Airbnbs or anything.
No Airbnbs.
I'm scared to death of I understand there can be some more money in it, but as much trouble it is for us to find somebody to fix a roof or to do other things, even people who love you and are consistent. Like, I could get somebody to my house. I could, put my foot down. I'm like, get to my house today and fix this, whatever. But on a daily basis, it's tough. And that's what I think about Airbnb is like, I'm going to burn through maids at my house. And I'm like, how am I going to get, what if somebody doesn't show up on Tuesday and I get somebody coming in 4 hours later?
Yeah.
And that's why there's not a ton of people doing large arbitrage with Airbnb in our market.
The reason I stayed away from it was, I've really been doing it heavily for the last 3 years. And I stayed away from it because what I'm trying to focus on at this point is identifying what I can and want to do at scale. And I don't want to introduce systems into my business that I'm not going to scale. So like if I were going to do Airbnb, I would sell everything else and just do Airbnb. I don't want to do Airbnb. I've already got too many irons in the I'm flipping houses. I've got single family homes. I've got apartments. I've got residential. Commercial, retail commercial space, and I've got office spaces. So then I'm going to add into that Airbnb. And all of those different things have their own systems and their own kind of like operations are handled a little differently. The legalities of them are handled differently. The leases are different. So like if I'm going to add something in,
add another one of those.
Yeah. Right. I don't want to add a new set in. So like I'm trying to reduce the amount of things I'm doing, a lot of times and trying to focus in on an investment type. It's just hard to do because and it is a smaller market, and in a smaller market, sometimes it is, especially with buy and hold, like what can you find right now? What's on the market that's going to cash flow, that's going to get you a return. So, it's been good. I'm still, like I said earlier, I'm still mostly known for the gym, and I'm still doing that because that's more puts my face out. I'm on ads, and I'm on TikTok, and I'm on this, and I'm on that, and people know me as the guy who's coaching fighters or jiu-jitsu people or whatever. But, now, and that's the reason why I kind of got away from fighting as I started trying to rebrand, was I didn't want to rebrand as the MMA guy. I kind of wanted to, I'm keeping that, but I'm kind of trying to expand outside of that.
Yeah, we need to come up with some clever title that relates that to investing, I don't know, like fighting for houses or something like that.
There you go.
We'll think of some name on that.
Yeah.
That's all I will think about tonight, probably. So,
yeah,
just some catchphrase for that, because that's often the thing is like, oh, how do you cash in on this specific thing, or how do you get another? Like I have, now I have, real estate as a realtor, but there's as many people that know me for community events, as they do for real estate. So there's tons of people I'm sure who've seen me do community events who don't know
know you sell real estate.
Yeah, I have no idea. You know what I mean? So there's always trying to bridge those two things together. As I said this year, my motto is like asking for business.
Mm-hmm.
I saw somebody at the airbase today, same thing, who was like, didn't want to bother you. And I'm like, oh God, And I was like, well, that $80,000, or just like the example I talked to you about, a $30-something-thousand house. I had somebody come to look at it who I'd never met. And he's like, yeah, we're coming down from Tupelo. We're thinking about buying some rentals down here. Everything I hear is amazing. I'm like, yeah, taxes aren't horrible. Insurance is okay.
A lot of people don't like, there's like a stigma for some people around East Columbus. I love East Columbus.
Rolling. I was talking to Jessica Bell.
I've always loved it.
Jessica Bell, who just left, I said, the only thing that holds back real estate markets is public perception. And that includes realtors and everything else. And a lot of realtors have been around at least 10 years, which there aren't that many in our market. East Columbus was cranking at $120,000 for a decent house 10 years ago. That house scraping 200 grand. And that's what like most of the rentals that a lot of people bought 8 or 10 years ago for 70 or 80 grand that have been getting $1,000 a month in rent or more are just some floors and paint away from 180, which gets you, you're like, okay. Like, because East Columbus is out appreciated, not Caledonia, but still, it's way. I mean, it's like 6% a year.
Yep. And
you're just going, people are like, why? I'm like, there's nowhere else to live. It's not as bad as it was, nearly as bad as it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's improved a lot. So, I remember. So I've been around real estate a long time. You know, like I said, my dad did it, and I was helping him. We started out, we were flipping houses, and I used to help him do it. And we were buying stuff back in the day in East Columbus, 30, 40 grand all the time. Matter of fact, the very first rental I ever bought was a 4-bedroom, 2-bath in New Hope for $39,000. So that was the very first rental I ever bought. I almost lost it, but and we can talk about that. But I bought it when I was 21 years old, so that was almost 15 years ago. And that doesn't exist now. I mean, you're just not seeing 4-bed. And it wasn't in terrible shape either. It needed a cosmetic rehab. That's all it needed. And I bought it to live in because I had no money at the time. And I bought it to live in and lived in it for a while, fixed it up, rented it out, moved out, bought me something else. And I've still got it. And, you know, since then I've been able to refinance it, and it's been great. But there's a ton of stuff in East Columbus. There's a ton of stuff. You know, there's certain parts of East Columbus I really like Gaywood, you know, Browder, that Winterset.
Oh my God!
But I got one under contract on Robinwood Circle. I got one. We've got stuff on Taylor and Florence, and I like all those areas, man. I love East Columbus. So.
Yeah, and if you screen your tenants, you have a high percentage of some long-term tenants there too. That's something our mayor is a former RE/MAX agent. His wife Stephen Jones, but Stephanie Jones, his wife, is an agent, and it's a challenge sometimes in East Columbus because statistically speaking, like when the rest of the country was moving every 4.5 years, African American families were moving 11.5 years.
Yeah,
they stay longer, and they stay longer for renting too. And it's one of the most interesting. It's just a fascinating thing to me. But like, I have one tenant that I haven't had the house the whole time, but that she's been there 23 years.
Wow.
And I'm more careful, obviously, with her rent than I'm raising her rent than anybody else because you don't hear from them.
Right. The money in rental is tenants that stay, sticky tenants. That's what it comes down to. I would a lot rather have somebody paying me $200 less a month, but it's going to be there for 10 years than paying me $200 or $300 more a month, because the turnover typically blows 5 years of income if there's a mortgage. So if you've got a mortgage on a house, it's very not uncommon at all. I say a light turnover typically. By the time you turn power on, have somebody come in and work, do a light turnover, you're usually out about $5,000.
Yeah. And mine are, I've had a whole bunch of 800 to 2000s, but I've had some 8, 9, 10,000. I had one, we inspect every 3 months. So like the property manager I use, and me myself have 2 that I never go to, but I don't want to tell them, if I don't see you, you don't see me, that rent's probably not changing.
Yeah.
And which include, like, they've probably fixed air conditions without me knowing, but I'm not gonna leave you alone. I do whatever you want me to. Like, I'm not gonna bother you. You've already been here 10 years or whatever. But I had somebody who we inspected, lived in the Caledonia School District. We inspected, and she moved out like 45 days later. I don't know how they did. It was her ex-boyfriend came in and had a key and was mad at her and put cement in the toilet, flooded the house. I mean, it was 12, 15. I had to file an insurance claim. Like, it was just, I was like, if we hadn't had pictures from a month before, it would have looked like, more than vandalism. But I was just like, what the heck? You know what I mean? Like, and we had just checked it, and the house was perfect. I was like, it was horrible.
Wow.
And heartbreaking, where you're like, God dang it. And again, most of my entire strategy is long-term growth on the property value, but taxes is way ahead of that for me.
Yeah.
So, like, I might have to, I'm writing some checks I don't want to write now, and cash flow-wise per month doesn't look great, but $40,000 in taxes I don't have to pay every year, of income taxes.
Yeah, see, and that's where me and you are a little different, because I make my money on my cash flow. Now, I also don't want to pay taxes, but that's as a long-term, that being my main business, long-term buying all, but it's a very slow game. It's a very slow game.
Yeah, and the air conditioning, the roof. Like, I know now, Jessica was just in here, was like, I was like, 13 doors, 12 houses. I was like, I know I got 9 roofs under 5 years old, 8 air conditioners under 5 years old, because I bought a bunch of crap at the same year, and it was really, really bad houses. So I know that when I'm 65, 15 years from now, and the houses are hopefully all paid off, that's why I need them paid off. Because it's going to need roofs and air conditioners, you know.
Yep.
Now, unlike houses downtown, I will patch up that roof like you were patching up.
Oh, yeah. All day long, baby.
Look, I told Jason Wheeler that a couple weeks ago. I said, my house is the only house in the neighborhood nobody can see my roof because I'm the tallest house in the block. It's 2 stories, a plus some. It's an old 2-story house, you know. And I'm like, I said I'm a meme of like from a roofing convention where somebody had taken all the samples and covered one of their rentals with like 30 different color roof shingles. I'm like, what do I care? Nobody can see unless you have a drone. You're not going to know what the top of my roof looks like. So. And I don't want a $25,000 roof. So
I've done that. I do that. We do that all the time. All the time. Oh yeah. I've got a little guy I use that can kind of patch and get by. I've got up there and patched them, you know, many times just because I don't want a roofer to go out and tell me I need a new roof. I know I need a new roof. But I'm going to get it by.
I've got a little one in East Columbus that is probably needing a new roof for 6 years, but it doesn't leak. Like we go in the attic once a year and look around while it's raining, and I don't want to disturb it. I feel like we're going to break the frame of the house because of that. And girl cares. It doesn't matter to the people living there. Like I've got insulation. I got everything else right, you know. So East Columbus, very underrated. And that's a problem. Starkville is one of the few cities. Oxford, I probably see more complaints on social media from inside Oxford about Oxford. Starkville is more political because my daughter's up there, so I'm starting to see it. Yeah. Starkville, everybody's kind of got a company line that everything's wonderful. You know what I mean? And then the only discussion I ever have, because I do business in both places, I have a rental over there, and I know the politicians over there, and like, they've got a huge property crime problem compared to Columbus. And they had a lot more shootings last year than Columbus, like murders, you know. And sometimes, like, you know, if it's good, I don't know, we may have talked about this. If it's good, like I said, Starkville doesn't have a Waffle House because the headline was Starkville got a Waffle House. I'm like, what's in the county? And like somebody on the Facebook page is like, that's a ridiculous argument, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, 2 weeks ago when I said Starkville had 11 murders last year, y'all were on, the couple politicians were on there saying we only had 5. What's your proof? I'm like, yes, there are 5 there and 6 in the county. But like they all went there. It's all Starkville. But the Waffle House, it's good. So it's, you know, but like that's the kind of thing I like recently, especially in the last 2 years in Columbus, that there's more people defending. When I speak at Rotary Kiwanis Exchange, that's what I open with. I was like, there's guys in this room who own businesses in this room, multiple houses, and y'all are consistently bashing the town, not just leadership, but just this intangible, like Columbus sucks, you can't find good help. I'm like, well, Harvey's and Zachary's and Uptown seem to have really good help. Chick-fil-A has pretty good help. Like, there's good help here. Yeah,
I think culture attracts help, and I say this to somebody who's hiring. So if you need a job, hit me up because I'm hiring right now. And I say this because culture drives everything, and I had this epiphany one day when I was in Starbucks here in Columbus. And I go to Starbucks here in Columbus, and everybody in there looks like they work at Starbucks. Everybody in there has a Starbucks. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Don't act like I'm crazy. They got their hair dyed blue. They got the piercings. They got the thing. And they all work in Starbucks. Now, when I go in town, I see very, very few of those people. But when I go to Starbucks, they all work there because they're attracted to the culture. They're attracted to the culture of that business. And I think that that's one of the keys that I've had trouble with, to be honest, like, you know, having a culture and being able to hire enough that you're able to attract. You know,
that
the right
people realize, like Burns Dirt, great example. All Burn, I mean, they do, Nick Parrish and them do a bunch of stuff well, but they branded all their trucks. Yeah. You know what he told me? He's like, we did that for advertising and didn't realize what it did for employees. Like that they're proud of our trucks when they drive them around. It attracts other people at job sites because they see this truck and it looks like a nicer truck because it's clean. Yeah. Because you can't see on their kind of camo design the dirt on the truck. And like people are like, man, y'all all get trucks, you know? And he's like, well, yeah. It was like, but he's like, everybody else has a little sticker on the side. I think Andrew Benton's another good example of somebody who does that where the branding's there and you're like, well, they look like a grown-up company. Yeah, he's done phenomenal. Andrew's done phenomenally well. Yeah, and he's big, and that's what happened to him. We'd always talked about marketing, but his systems, he's got some mentors in the air conditioning business, and he has trucks that are like, they know that they're coming to my house April 5th and that I have a Carrier unit. They have the most common breakpoint parts. So he's essentially got teams for the 3 most common parts of air conditioners, and that's their route. So not only are they the AC and heating guys, or these are the heating specialists, but they have the transistor for the Carrier on the truck, so they don't waste anybody's time. Yeah. And what I like, their best feature is that like they're coming at 1 and at 12:15 they're like, we'll be there between 1 and 1:10. Hey, we're running 5 minutes late. Hey, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
like that's
instead of we're going to be there sometime between 1 and 7, and then they don't show up.
yeah. I have people call me all the time like outside your house. I'm like, dude, wrong guy.
Yeah.
Like I'm not that. My days like today. I'm doing my day in the life of video. I got to film you on that. And like so today's a wild day, and I didn't plan it. Like when I was like, but so many little things have popped up. You know.
Mm-hmm. Day in the life. So that's been one of my big issues. I'm a 30,000 foot and above guy, and I've always been that way. We talked about this is something I was thinking about. Like when I was a kid, I always had a hustle, but my idea of my hustle was so much bigger than what my hustle actually was. And I had no idea how to get it to what I wanted it to be. So I was always, that's how I got in MMA, that's how I got in everything. There's always like this big idea, but then there's got to be a way to get it from the big idea. And that's systems. It comes down to systemizing your marketing, systemizing your, technical aspect of whatever the business is, systemizing every aspect of it. But that stuff's so boring to me. That stuff is so boring.
The grown up part of it?
Yeah, the grown up part is so boring. Like, I don't know. Do you know how I got into MMA?
No. So
I got into MMA because I used to run like a backyard fight club when I was in high school. And I had this like huge idea that I was going to build this like multi-state national like chains of like, not like the movie, but like think like Never Back Down style fight club, even though it was before that. And that's how I got into it. I was running these, and I had like, we did it in Ethelsville or like Pickens County. We did New Hope, Caledonia. We had these like we'd like park all these cars in a circle, and all these kids would come out, and I'd sell T-shirts, and I'd sell like we'd record the fights and then go around and like market and like just word them, like going around showing people fight. Ooh, my phone's on silent. Look at there. So I got into MMA because I had this like big idea that I was going to do this thing. And then I started fighting in it, and I was like, oh man, I'm good at this. I'm winning fights, And I go into an MMA gym, and they just beat the crap out of me on my like second day. Just walked the dog on me. I'm like, oh man, I got to learn this, But that's how I got into it. Was I had this like big idea that I was going to run this like international like fight club organization of like all this stuff, but I had no like idea of how I was going to do it. I had like 6 guys that kind of helped me put them on, and we'd go out and we'd match fights all weekend. We did them every weekend between from once it dried out in spring to fall, and we'd stop it in the fall because it was outside. So like in the winter you can't really do it, and we'd go through like football season, and then football season we'd kind of like, we might do a few more, but once football season started, we were pretty much done. Just got too cold and too wet. But yeah, that's how I got into MMA, was running these like backyard fights.
Well, sometimes like the most unreasonable things are the ones that work. Like if you listen, if you took somebody's advice on how to do something, you'd be like, if I had listened to my best advisors when I sold out of the newspaper and was going into real estate, they would have been like, dude, you can get a job at a large charity or Visit Columbus, or insurance was the most popular thing. They're like, dude, so-and-so insurance, he'll set you up. You can make $90,000, $100,000 a year day one, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, that doesn't, but because the more people you put in the room, it's death by committee. I talk about this with charities all the time. Like, we don't need to have 10 meetings to talk about how to have a Ducks Unlimited banquet, which they're all my friends, but they do. And part of it's a camaraderie and stuff. But a lot of people do need that. But, man, I just think you get too many negative people in the room. Most of my marketing ideas, the best ones have been because the only person in the way of it is Nathan Wilson, who's one of my best friends. Like now with AI, like there's almost nothing in the way of doing something so quickly for marketing that I like, that like, it just makes it so much easier to do it. You know? And if I'd run it by a few people, they'd be like, don't do that.
Yeah.
I had coincidentally had billboard space when COVID started, and I didn't change a thing. So like, it was a drastic 2 week, that 2 weeks. I already bought billboards, and the billboard said, literally it was, I believe in you, go do good, Colin. It didn't say anything about real estate. It was make positivity louder, Colin. And I remember JT, the billboard guy, calling me, and he's like, you want to change any of these? I'm like, no, it seems God picked a perfect plan
Yeah.
for this. He's like, well, I thought they were stupid before. He goes, you're going to look brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, because like everybody's stuck at home, but if they go out, and so people were taking pictures of the billboard going, oh, thanks, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, well, good. That happened for a reason, you know?
Yeah, that was a crazy time, man. That was and it does look brilliant. I mean, it does look like you kind of had.
But
that
it was
thing
very
planned.
sincere. Like it was.
Yeah.
I mean, it you know, it was. I was just like, I'll see if I can cheer people up and see. At that point, it sounds odd now, but like, I was nervous about putting just Colin on there because who's Colin? You
Yeah.
know, at least now, like I'm lucky enough to have a somewhat unique name, so somebody might remember it. You know, that's the old school marketing goal is Harley Davidson Jack Daniels is to have something where people would buy a T-shirt of it. You know,
Yeah.
and I still haven't thought of the right idea of that yet. Like I know there's 50 people who would buy a shirt that said Colin gave me the shirt, but that's the ultimate, in my opinion, of marketing is when people. Zachary sells a decent amount of Zachary shirts, but you know what I mean? Like where people are like, I want a shirt of that guy, you know?
Yeah.
So that's always the thing that's in the back of my mind is that's
That when I was doing the fights, that's how we made our money. And that's the thing about fighting is it's something people want to kind of attach themselves to.
Yeah.
You know. And so I've sold a lot of gym T-shirts, you know, but I actually give all mine away most of the time. I actually give everything away. And I'm really picky about my T-shirts. So I only use like Delta Tri-Blend or Next Level, like the nicer Next Level T-shirts, because I want to wear it and I want to feel like I look good in it. Like that's what I wear. So I always buy the best stuff. But then when somebody comes in the gym, I'm like, oh, here's a T-shirt. I just give it to them. And so I end up I don't know if I've ever actually made money on T-shirts before. I always just give them all away.
But the fact that somebody would wear your stuff is so flat. Like it's just so awesome.
And it's marketing. It gets our name out there. It gets our T-shirt out there. You know, it's got, you know, I'll do some little catchy saying on the back, like our shirt for the last forever now has been firm believer in punching people in the mouth. I get stopped all the time, like, hey, where can I buy that shirt? They'll come by the gym, pick up a shirt. Sometimes I sell it, sometimes I give it away. I pretty much always give it away. Don't come to the gym looking for a T-shirt, though. I'm running low, you know, if everybody shows up at once. But, you know, one or two people. But, yeah, so, like, that was – but the way I looked at it was if you go to town and you see – and just like when everybody signs up, I give them a sticker for their car. Give them a sticker for their car, give them a T-shirt. Just, you know, if every time you go to town, you see that logo somewhere – it makes sense.
Yeah, he does good here. Josh Gillis, who owns Catfish Alley, he's got a bunch of stickers and hats, and he can usually read the room when somebody's walking out and be like, "This be a good person to give a hat to," or you know what I mean? Because like the hat, especially, you end up on somebody's video, you know, because I'm not a big hat guy during the day for work, but everywhere else
I am. You see what I'm saying?
I'm like my bald ass needs a hat on. So.
I rock a hat all the time. I'll rock a hat to real estate closings. I rock a hat to everything. It's so hard for me to like do my hair right, but I'm picky about my hats too. Same thing. I wear the Flex Fit 110s, and that's what I buy. You know, and that's what I buy for the gym. I buy Flex Fit 110s.
Man, if they're out there, the Economic Development Group, the GTR link gave out for the people who are members of their big group, gave us like Nike big like oversized dry fit hats. Oh my God, it's awesome, and they're like I'm wearing it, and it just says the trust on it. A lot of people don't know what that means, but I'm like, it's my favorite hat. And like, so now I'm ordering ones. I'm just trying to think of what to put on it. I might just put my little car on there, but same thing. Like the Catfish Alley hat fits me right. I like it. I'm going to wear it.
You could do you should, which I know that you're not the only person that does that, make positivity louder, but like a MPL, just make it say MPL.
Yeah. The only phrase I think that is, I don't think I can trademark it or anything, but I couldn't find anybody else with it, and I've used it a little. As everybody deserves attention is pretty big. Now the only thing I was going to put, it's Colin, it's Colin with like my name tag. Yeah, and so I might just put the name tag on there. So if you overthink it, that's the thing,
right?
Like just again, if you convince 4 of your friends to wear it, it's good enough.
Yeah, so. Everybody talking about like the wrong people trying to talk you out of stuff. Everybody pretty much tried to talk me out of opening the gym, pretty much because. So when I opened the gym, it actually opened right next door to where I am now. But when I opened it, everybody's like, come on, man. Like, what, you're going to do this for a living? Because I quit my job. I did it for a year, and I quit my job. And I was making nothing. I don't know what possessed me. I just never really – I was swinging hammers for my dad at the time doing maintenance, and I've never really had like a job, and it just never really appealed to me. I couldn't even get my head around – somebody telling me what to do all day and like having a boss and punching a time clock. And
I wouldn't know what to do with myself. I had a tough time. The reason I got popular at Papa John's was because, like, when they hired me, I'm like, I can't be in the store all the time. And they're like, you're supposed to be running the store. I'm like, if you just trust me, and this was in D'Iberville, Mississippi, I said, within 6 months, we'll triple sales.
Yeah.
I was like, and I didn't know it was going to work. But I was like, if people know me the same way they know Doug at Zachary's, then they'll order the pizza.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what happened is everybody's like, well, he's the only one that's ever visited our baseball team. I mean, I was the only pizza everywhere I went. Schools were like, we have no idea. But they knew, like, so-and-so, you know, Brent owns CJ's. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I wanted that feeling at Friday at 5 is that, like, oh, I got to order Munson & Brothers instead of Papa John's, you know? Yep. And that's the thing is when people get to know you. So anyway, go on.
Yeah, no, I just couldn't even get my head around having a job. And so I had started out and I was swinging hammers for, I think I was making $10 an hour at the time. I was pulling down a little under 500 a week, 400 a week. I was pulling down right around 400 a week. And I was just paying the gym bills out of that $400. And I took the little bit of money I was making. I'd bought my little rental house and was trying to get it remodeled. And I was getting my gym remodeled on that little $400 a week. And I was like, you know what? I think I can do this thing, man. All I need is 50 members. If I can get 50 members, pay me like some absurdly low amount of money, that'll give me enough. I can make like $400 or $500 a week. Same thing I'm making now. You know, that it's just the way my mind worked at 20 years old. Like if I can just make a living doing it, and then I can just do what I like all day, I won't ever have a job. So I had saved up, I think I didn't even plan on, like, I didn't even mean to redirect into me telling the story, but it happened. I had like saved up, I think my grandmother, when she passed, she had left me like $2,000, and I had saved up another like $4,000. I had like $6,000. And I found this little, it was on Conway Drive. There was this little warehouse there. Somebody had the front of, and they were going to rent me out the middle and the apartment upstairs for like $750 a month, including utilities. So not bad. And I dumped every dime of it into the building, like, and it still looked horrible. But I dumped all my money into it, and I was there for right at a year, and the guy that owned it, the building got foreclosed on. Well, the new owner had and I was struggling anyway. So like that year, I think this is probably 2012, I lived on, and my gym grossed $13,000. So that paid the gym's bills, my house payment, all my bills, my gas, whatever. So I got to cut the power from my house, moved into my gym, lived there, rode a bicycle, didn't have a car. My truck broke down, didn't have a car.
You should have tried country music because you sound like a country music song.
If only my girl had left. Yeah. That's one thing I'll say about my wife, man. Every time I tell this story, I always remember the day I check in my bank account, and me and her were supposed to have a date that weekend. And I remember checking my bank account, and I was overdrawn like $2,500. I was so in the hole. And I call her, and I'm like, look, like, I'm broke. I can't take you anywhere. I can't do it. You know, I don't know what you want to do here. She was older than me, too. I was like, I'm broke. I have nothing. I can't take you on a date. And on Friday nights, I got to start, like, bouncing at this bar and doing these other little odd jobs just to try to make a little bit of money. Because at the time, I think the gym's bringing in, it's like $1,000 a month or something. And she was like, don't worry about it. I got you. And she paid for every date the rest of the time we were dating. She took, every time we went out, she picked up the tab. She paid. So shout out to my wife, Baylin. She took care of me. I had a sugar mama take care of me and get me through all that. And, you know, but I'll never forget, because I found that tax return here a few years back, and I was like, I only made $13,000 all year, and that was, I mean, the rent and everything from the gym came out of that, which was $750 a month. So I was living on. Plus, I think my house payment was like $300-$400. Yeah, because I bought this house in foreclosure, and spent my own money getting it livable, and so basically, by the time I paid the gym's rent and my house payment, that was it. So
it's amazing the perspective on. They always talk about it. It doesn't work that way with gratitude, where you're like, imagine yourself 20 years from now. If you saw yourself now, it's just because a lot of the bills have more zeros on them. You know what I mean? And as I've told my wife when times are tough, even a few months ago, I'm like, cutting cable doesn't affect anything.
No.
I told her, I'm like, I could get $50,000 today and you wouldn't notice. Like, that's scary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not that I make that much. It's just I have that many obligations that, like, if I found $50,000 in a bag, I would pay a note, you know, I'd like get rid of some other bill. So
100%.
Because I like trying to get my monthly bills as low as possible.
Yeah.
And like,
Same.
with not counting the rentals, they're not atrocious, but I'm like, you know, I want to chop away at them because I always think of, I used to say that. I'm like, what if the world happened, then COVID happens? I'm like, oh, crap. Now, 3 weeks after COVID, it's the biggest real estate pop in history. And is, you know, I'm the most noticeable realtor at the time. So.
You know what's funny about that? Looking back on the times that things were really tough and the times that things were really good. And there was a few different things going on here. But during that time, that like couple years where I was just, I mean, I was hand to mouth, barely made. And for years, that was the case. Even as I did kind of start building up and start, it was, I mean, I think it was like 2017 before I made any money. You know, so it was like 6, 7, 8 years of just barely paying bills. I really took it seriously when me and my wife got engaged. She had a kid, and it was like, okay, I got to get my act together. Like, I got to figure this thing out, or I got to go get a job. I actually put in at the Columbus PD to be a cop. But, you know, the time that things were the best was before COVID, and I was more depressed, less happy, less fulfilled then than I was making $13,000 a year.
Oh yeah, it can. I've had times in my life where you look back and you're just like, "What the heck were we worried about?" And then the funny part, I was talking to somebody else this morning about this. So I just finished the theater run thing for Hairspray, and last week was a 40-hour week. I mean, it was 7 days, maybe like 30 hours at night.
Yeah,
but it's 100 hours over the course of 2 months doing that show.
Yeah,
but definitely 30 in the last week. I've never had a more successful organized week at work. When I'm telling you, like, this time's for marketing, this time's for paperwork. But
you have to.
Yeah, you have to. Because I don't want somebody calling me while I'm dancing around with the dress going, what about my house? And I'm like...
Yeah. You know what it was for me? So before COVID, I felt like I'd kind of done what I could do. And there were things I could do to make my gym bigger, like incorporating after school and stuff. I didn't want to do that. And I felt like I'd hit a cap and I didn't have that much to do. But when I was struggling, I just felt like a temporarily embarrassed millionaire the whole time. Like, that was always my mindset. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm out here getting it. I'm hustling. Like, yeah, it's tough now, but man, this is going to be a great story one day. One day I'm going to be on a podcast. I'm going to tell about this time I made $13,000 in a year and lived in my gym and slept on the mats and rode a bicycle with a chain that slipped to get a watermelon. And that watermelon would last me all week. I'd cut it into little slices and kind of, you know. But when I was at the gym, and there were some other factors in there too, just not taking care of my mind, not being the person that I needed to be, things like that. But I just didn't feel like I was pushing to a new height. I wasn't doing anything that like the next thing, and I needed that next thing. And that's why I started my YouTube channel, and that's actually why I got into real estate.
Well, it gives you some accountability too, putting yourself out in the public like that too. Which even if it's not for the thing you think about, but when people see you there and start to recognize or do things, and I think I mentioned this on your show a couple weeks ago, but like the most impactful thing I ever thought of, and now I think about constantly, is like, what if your kids are watching you while you're at work?
Yeah.
And you think about that when you're like, think of the things I could have done, like the skill set you have now with your gym or with my, like, I really wasn't doing everything I could have been doing. I was feeling sorry for myself.
I think one of the best things, the thing I liked the most about the YouTube channel when I was doing that was I had a camera following me almost all the time. I had one person on staff that, like, their job was to walk around behind me with a camera. And so it was like this ultimate accountability at all times where I would have like played a game on my phone or I would have done something else. And I think that's one of the reasons I want to bring it back and do like once I get things rolling and I'm making enough money that I can afford to just hire somebody to follow me with their camera, and it doesn't matter if it makes money or not, is I was so productive when the camera was behind me.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I can't let him see me like play video games or like scroll through, Facebook. And I don't know if TikTok would have been a thing, but I didn't have it yet. But yeah, that was, I was on it. What am I talking about? Yeah. Yeah. Scroll TikTok, I didn't have it on my phone, I don't think.
Yeah. I think about that on a day like today where I'm doing my day in the life of thing where I'm like, I forget stuff. And of course, like, I think I told you about where I need to show people that I have some free time. Mm-hmm. So like I was thinking like today I need to work in here's the 30 minutes where I'm sitting on the couch like somebody come film this so I don't get accused of doing too much, And my buddy Nathan wants me to do Nathan Wilson, he's real high end video guy, graphic design guy and stuff. But he's like, we really need like a 2-camera thing of you going out like doing country stuff. Like go out and try to go fishing and go hunting. And he's like, dude, people they'd watch a live stream of your ass doing it because I'm just so. It's not that I'm completely.
I've got the cameras, man. We can do this. I've got the cameras. Oh, he's got the cameras. Let's do it. Let's do it.
No, that's what he thinks would be funny, like literally just changing a tire on a tractor and not intentionally being funny. He's like,
I couldn't change a tire on a tractor, I don't think.
I don't know.
And I grew up on a farm, but I never changed a tire on a tractor. So.
That might not even be a thing because that's what he.
I mean, it's a thing.
Yeah, but like I still, I won 3 guns last year. I gave him the most expensive one, and the other one's in a box in my house, and one's still at the gun store because I haven't gone to get it.
He's you
like,
gonna sell them?
He's like, I think we already told you this story, and I said yes. And then I've also I won some Meta glasses like a month ago, and they're still exactly where I put them. And he's like.
See, I wouldn't use that.
Yeah, but it'd be funny for the day in the life.
Oh, yeah.
But he's just like funny. He's like, you're always got something going on that like 80 or 90% of people would be like, oh my God. And you're just like.
You should do that for real. Like just find you some like college kid and pay them like $10 an hour to follow you around with a camera all day.
Yeah,
think about the content.
The first voice in my head is the nobody would want no. Sort of like with the theater thing. Like these kids are so much better than me. I'm not any good.
Yeah.
But that everybody's got that.
Yeah.
And most of my content stuff like.
Most of my content was trash when I was doing it too.
Yeah, but like I used to be like no, but with most of my stuff, I'm like I don't care if people watch it or not. But some of the funniest things are when they're unintentional.
Yeah.
When they're
my first viral video I had was unintentional just because the camera was rolling. I was in the gym and some kids. Did we talk about this on our episode?
I don't think so.
There were some kids and I was teaching class and I was teaching a combination. He was like filming me teach this combination. And I'd sent the students to go get mitts and there weren't enough mitts for everybody because some of the kids had taken some of the mitts and were playing with them. And I look over and they're over there playing with the mitts. And I stop. I'm like, hey, guys, nothing over there is a toy. Adults need mitts for class and we didn't have them. Put the mitts down and don't touch them again. And I look at the camera and I was like, I'll beat your kids too for $19.95. And it just went bananas on TikTok. It just went bananas. I think, I don't remember how many views. I can look at it real quick. It was in the millions. I know.
Well, that's why TikTok's so valuable to a lot of people is that you have a fair chance if you put out the right stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas like Facebook, like I'm verified on Facebook, and since I've been verified, I feel like I'm getting less traffic.
Yeah, 3.8. No, 4.1 million.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's it right there. 4.1 million on that one, and it just just a crazy little. Just happened. The camera happened to be rolling. I wasn't intending on saying that. And a lot of people tried to accuse me of like it being staged. And I was like, it's I promise it's not staged.
I don't know. So my best example, and it's one of those things where I'm like, didn't need to do it again. My first post on Reddit was the top of the front page. And it was a very sincere thing. It was the article I wrote for the paper. My daughter nearly drowned at Lion Hills, and this kid saved her. And so I was like, I guess I'd just gotten on Reddit. This was 12 years ago, whatever. I'm like, I'll post this or whatever. And same thing. People are like, just posting this for points. And I'm literally at that point was so sincere. I'm like, can I do anything with these points? Can I give them to you? I'm like, I don't know. I felt like such an old man.
Can you do something with the points?
Yeah,
I don't know anything about Reddit.
Yeah, nothing. You can't do anything.
Okay.
But yeah, I had the most millions of upvotes. And I'm like, can I do anything? They're like, what a shit post. And blah. I'm like,
it's not worth anything.
I was literally trying to share a good story about this kid who saved my daughter's life.
Yeah. That's something I saw on TikTok too. Any platform where the person's name and picture doesn't have to be on the profile. Dude,
courage.
The amount of hate I got on TikTok. That one post, and I tell you the ones that hurt, man. The hate comments. You good, man? You tired?
Yeah, right? I'm still danced all weekend.
You seem tired.
I danced all weekend. Yeah, I'm a little worn out.
I didn't sleep at all last night, but I'm just jazzed up right now. But it was the comments that were accurate. I tell you what, man, there was one that was like, man, look at his skinny legs. He looks like he lifts all day and never. And I was like, man, I do have skinny legs. That's true. My legs are skinny. That is correct. I mean, I do some lower body stuff, but not as much, But the amount of hate you get on TikTok is the number one most hateful app of the ones I post to. YouTube's also, especially when you get into like that million view plus range where it's a lot of people, like if you've only got like 1,000, a couple thousand views, everything's mostly positive. But I just had to rewire my brain for it. And I deleted everything off my phone so I couldn't see it. Because if I did like pick it up and like open it and see one, it would like ruin my hour sometimes. I was like, man, I just don't need that negativity hitting my brain and like pattern interrupting my positive train I got going on. But what I started telling myself was, you know, the algorithm picks up what you watch and what you comment on. So the more hate comments you leave me, the more viral the post goes.
Yeah.
And so after a while, and that's, you know, that's the Andrew Tate thing. You know, like a lot of people, that's what they do is they hack that algorithm. They say something super controversial as a hook in the beginning of the video, and then they later explain it with something that is a lot less controversial. They like shift it and
Back
say
down,
and make it something a lot less controversial. Like, I can't think of one right now. I don't really follow any of those guys, but and so like half the people in the comment section only heard the first 15 seconds of the video. Everybody else is like jumping on to the second 15 seconds.
Oh, here's a great example. So peak COVID, they open up the road where the Cherokee Watermelon stand, the bridge they fixed on Wolf Road.
Yeah.
Which huge deal to everybody in Caledonia. Well, I was going to put a sign in the yard at 6:30 in the morning. I saw them picking up the barricades. So I went up there and put a mask and a bandana on my face and did a video, and I was like, and then I took it off and I'm like, hey, everybody, just teasing. Wolf Road's open. Holy crap, dude. I had good friends who were posting stuff on there like, you dumb liberal piece of crap, you're wearing a mask, you're outdoors, you idiot, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like,
you literally
but you didn't watch it long, but they didn't watch it long enough. Same thing like you said, I went like that, and then I took it down, but they were just killing me in the comment, like a third of the people. And I'm like, God, y'all are talking about triggered, man.
We talked about this on our podcast a little bit. I don't know if we said this exactly, but if you go through your day looking for something to be mad about, you're going to find it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, and there's so many people, man, they need to just delete social media, because if all you're doing with social media is just looking for stuff to be mad about, and that's got to be what they're doing. That's got to be what they're doing, especially with like the way algorithms work. And like I was watching this comedian here a while back, and he was talking about, they were talking about the TikTok ban. He's like, man, I'm glad they're banning TikTok. Now I won't have to keep watching all these drag queen dancing makeup tutorials. Yeah. He's like, that might be your algorithm. You know, it kind of like if your algorithm is a lot of stuff that makes you mad, it kind of exposes like that's what you're interacting with.
I know there's like, if I watch too much kind of news stuff, or I don't really watch it on Facebook, but there's a guy called Mr. Global who's like a pretty middle of the road guy, but he's big on oil and gas, and he's talking about, I was just trying to watch in the Strait of Hormuz, and now he's popping up constantly. Well, he'll make you anxious because, like, you know, he's very serious. He's like, there's going to be a huge problem in this, blah, blah, blah. And by the way, inflation and oil prices going up are nothing but good for real estate. Like, inflation's great for real estate. And I'm like, in the short term.
Well, real estate's at least going to keep up with it.
Yeah. And so, and like, but still, like, I always want to walk that line. Like, I figure bad news is going to find me.
Yeah.
And on a local level, my goal is to know as much as anybody. But, like, there's nothing I'm going to read online about local news that really gets me fired up, because a lot of it I kind of know. Or
you posted it.
Yeah, I posted it or whatever. But that's just because, like, but I can eat it and let it go. Like, I saw Zach from the Dispatch today was at the Rotary Club meeting, and we were talking about stuff, and I'm like, I was like, it's going to happen. It wouldn't happen. People are upset here about the fire chief and that guys didn't get interviewed for the job. And
I don't
I'm
even
like,
know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it doesn't, nobody else knows. Yeah, nobody, like, I hate saying nobody cares, but, like, people aren't staying awake at night hating you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe one night. But there's very few people who don't have a mental disorder who care about you. You heard me say
they're not thinking about you at all.
I always say when people are sick, the casseroles eventually stop.
Yeah.
You know, I tell people, I say, I have a hard time finding people to go to lunch with. And they're like, what the hell? I'm like, I'm serious. Like, I only have 3 or 4 people. I'm like, you want to go eat? Like, and then I'm like, sitting at home eating alone. And I'm sure I have more people, but I just don't. I'm like, I don't want to bother them. I don't know them that well. So I probably have too many people at a distance, you know. Yeah. So
I never ask anybody to go eat lunch, and I usually don't eat lunch. I think that's probably one of the reasons why. I consume almost no content. The only thing that I heard that got me bummed out was Chuck Norris is dead. That one bummed me out a little bit.
Yeah, and I missed it for like a half a day because I really won't look in the morning. So he died. Yeah. I guess they announced it in the morning or whatever, and they said something about.
My wife texted me.
It was like, what about Chuck Norris? Somebody made a joke about what did Chuck Norris and Teddy Roosevelt have in common? Like, posted that. I think it was Carl Ulmer, and I just didn't know he's dead. So I was like, neither one of them have kissed. Neither one of them have kicked Chuck Norris's ass. And I was like, I didn't know he's dead, so I'm glad I didn't do something worse. But
I tell you, man, of like. people that there's not very many people, like famous people, that I just really like.
Well, they're like in the public wants to, I didn't look at it, but you don't want to hear a bad story about them.
Yeah.
Because there's like everybody else who I've ever had who's kind of a hero. People.
Everybody's got a bad story though. It doesn't really bother me. It just. I'll be honest. It just doesn't bother me.
Well, no, but like they look for it.
Yeah, but when I hear them, it just doesn't really. I mean, unless they're eating babies or touching kids, like I just don't care.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I really don't. I just.
We talked about that. I think off there. I know I talked to Thomas Taylor III.
T squared.
T cubed.
T cubed. Yeah. Thomas Taylor the third. Yeah. T cubed.
4. Thomas Taylor
the third.
Holy cow! We don't even know what.
Yeah.
4. 3 is cubed. 4 is quad.
Yeah. Quad.
We're good.
Squared.
This is
T squared.
I didn't go to MS. Yeah.
Yeah, me either.
We're talking about Huberman podcast, Huberman Lab podcast, and like the New Yorker or something wrote this big expose. I read every word of it, and it was really like that he dated 2 women at the same time.
Yeah, I couldn't care.
There wasn't a sexual harassment thing.
Yeah,
he didn't assault anybody. He was literally dating a woman in New York and in Colorado at the same time.
Yeah.
And they're like, and also he tries to play like he's a full-time professor. I'm like, his podcast opens. Like, that's the only part I know of his 3-hour podcast. I'm an adjunct professor at UC Cal Berkeley. That's not my full-time job. This is not a fear with it. I do this. And I'm like, this dude just tries constantly.
He is literally the most objective podcaster or individual that I've ever listened to their content.
Yeah, we talked about it on yours. He had the best line about, he goes, I hate to tell somebody who's 500 pounds that they should go into the sauna and jump in a cold plunge. I don't want this to be true. It doesn't. As a scientist, I want you to eat right and exercise.
Right.
If you can't do anything else, go to the freaking sauna every night. And he's like, I don't want a miracle pill, but he's like, you should get on a GLP-1, go in the sauna, and go in a cold plunge. He's like, before you walk, if you're bedridden, and he's like, I haven't wanted GLPs to be right because I've been waiting 10 years for something to come out.
Have they been around that long?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm like, there's GLP-3 now that the bodybuilders should use and stuff. And
we talked about
they'll
that.
probably ban that.
But like even when he does, so like when he is presenting data, he never presents data as fact. When he's talking, he's never like, this is the facts. He says, this is what the research that we have, and that's exactly how a scientist should speak.
The most depressing episode he had is I listened to all 3 hours of his episode on balding and hair replacement. He's basically like, yeah, we still haven't figured it out.
Yeah.
You figure it out.
I wish you hadn't told me that because since our episode, I've kind of been like using it less and less.
What's that though?
Because I've been using the minoxidil and formaldehyde. Yes, but I'm thinning back here, and I'm definitely thinning up here.
If we disappear for 3 weeks and well, you always wear a hat. We'll kind of go to swing over to Turkey and get our free hair grafted on us.
There we go. Nobody will ever know, except for when I'm teaching jiu-jitsu, though, because I got to take it off for that. Or teaching MMA. I got to take it off when I'm teaching. So
yeah, I'm a little. But I watched that whole thing. I'm like, oh, come on, man. I was like, can't you have something?
If you want to wear a hat, man, you got to do. You just got to get you what we call a go in the meeting hat. You know what a go in the meeting hat is? A church hat. You just got to get you a nice church hat, which is worn out. Yeah, it's a church hat. It's like spend a little more on it, like a raised front. You know, something with a classy logo, maybe a leather or it's what we call down here in the South a go in the meeting hat. It's when you go in the meeting, going to church, going to the Baptist church on Sunday.
Can I wear a hat with a sport coat?
I feel like you can't.
Summer's coming though. I'll be out of the sport coat soon because the summer's.
I used to put together outfits. I've got some pictures of me. I used to do a lot of like jeans with like I had a cheap, not cheapish. It's not not expensive sport coat that I had like my nice sport coat, and then I had my like daily wear sport coat, and I would wear this blue blazer with like pinstripe or plaid stripes in it with a pocket square, and I would wear that with my hat turned backwards with like dark wash jeans and a light colored shirt with like some nice dress shoes, and I think it looks nice, I'm
gonna have to try the hat game. I have to up it.
I mean,
I don't really care. Like I'm talking 360 days a year. Could care less about I care that my hair is like brushed, but I could care less about being bald. And then I see that picture from the wrong angle, and I'm like, crap.
My wife does hair, and she's the one that pointed it out. I was like, you need to start doing something. I think it means more to her than me. My thing is, though, I can't brush my hair. That's why I wear one. It's not because I'm balding. I have very coarse, kinky hair. I have like, it's not like black people hair, So you say kinky, it kind of sounds, but it's very coarse. It's almost like straw. and it's like curly, and it's become more kinky and curly as I've gotten older. Used to, it would only like get that way. Like I used to want to have the Justin Bieber cut. You know, when I was at school, everybody had what we called the Mississippi swoop. It was that hair that came down and kind of swooped over. Man, I wanted that hair so bad, bro. Bro, I wanted it so bad. I grew my hair out. And actually, what actually got me in the habit of wearing a hat was when I started growing my hair out like that, the only thing that could make my hair lay down and kind of do that was a hat. Because otherwise I had like a mini afro. It all just kind of poofed up in the front and on top. And I looked ridiculous. So I started wearing a hat and it would kind of like smash my hair down. And then the oils of my head would kind of like calm the hair. But as I've gotten, and then I started cutting my hair short because I was like, okay, I don't have the hair for this. And short, you couldn't tell. But you know what changed my hair, believe it or not, was COVID.
Really?
The texture of my hair changed after I got COVID.
I got super smell. That's all I got. The only superhuman ability I got out of that. I always had a good sense of smell, but I grew up working restaurants, and I know it bothers my family now, but like I can be in my bed, which is 20 feet linearly, another 20 feet up, and if the cat pees in the litter box upstairs, I'm like, what the hell is that? And they're like, there's no smell. And I'm like, I can smell the difference between like 50 spices, and if somebody smells a little, it bothers me.
Yeah,
like,
I'm not that.
Yeah, but it definitely changed. Like I remember like the week. I remember the week it changed.
Do you smell me?
No,
okay, cool.
No, sorry, you're all right. You passed.
All right, cool. Yeah, just checking. I put deodorant on before I came, but when you said you got the super smeller, I'm like, oh man,
this is the kind of stuff people have
check that out.
Tuning in for. Talking fashion and smells with Jake Reeves. All right, well, we're in an hour. The time flies.
Let's run it.
My previous guest, she was like, how are we going to get through 45 minutes? I'm like, you'll blink your eyes. Like
probably 45 minutes.
Especially both of us. With a good podcast interviewer like yourself being on the other side. So if people want to support you or get near you or fight you and punch you in the face, how do they find you?
Well, you can, if you want to punch me, you can go check out our the Relentless MMA. You can look at Relentless MMA Columbus, Mississippi on Facebook and Instagram. Also, just check out our website, relentless-mma.com. You can book a trial week or reach out to us. Just give us your info. We'll give you a call. You can also hit me up on Facebook, Jake Reeves. Also, go check out my new podcast. It's my new favorite thing. Is Big Thinkers Podcast, and it's where I sit down with people like Colin and we just talk about what sets people that think bigger and more importantly do bigger things apart from other people. How does their mind work? And what I'm trying to do and what I do in these episodes is I find commonalities. I'm looking for what do they all seem to have in common. And so as we do more episodes, I'm actually compiling my list now. The things what I have noticed is like things like relentless positivity, discipline, just kind of outworking everybody else. Seems like most people have a little bit of a horror story, like a little bit of they've overcome some pretty difficult times at some point in their life. And I guess that's true of everybody, but it seems to be more true of people that think bigger. But anyway, that's what I got going on. So go check us out. You can check that out on YouTube, Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And other than that, man.
And who have you had on? They've had Antoine Richardson.
So Antoine Richardson, I've had T Cubed,
Thomas Taylor the
III. I saw you lean in. Did we get that?
I think we nailed it.
Yeah, Thomas Taylor III, Antoine Richardson. I think you were my third episode. Recently had Blake Bradford from Biddy Sawworks. He's got some big things going on. I really like him a lot. And then. Shoot, who was my most recent one? Was that my most recent one? Tomorrow I'll be interviewing Mike McGill.
Yeah.
Mike McGill will be coming on. I've known him for a while, and me and his kids went to school together. And
okay.
We've known each other a long time. I was in a Bible study at his house. I love Mike. He's got a lot of great things coming. Or has done a lot of great things. He's kind of on the back end of it now. Yeah. And then Annabelle Davis, who you hooked me up with, is actually going to be coming on April 1st.
Oh, she's awesome. Yeah, no, she's something else. And then it's probably happened to you too. When I started, my list changed.
Oh, yeah.
Because everything I just wanted, I was like, oh, we're just going to talk to entrepreneurs with this. And then like my very first person canceled and Russell Poole came in here and we started talking about personal growth and stuff. And then like.
I kind of knew that was going to happen with me because I already knew some people that I wanted to have on because I know like how important personal growth is. And so like people that are more experts in that realm, I knew I wanted to have them on. You know, because not everybody that's doing big things, it's not all about entrepreneurs. There's some people that are doing great things in charity. And there's some people that are doing big things in coaching. And there's some people like, you look at like Nick Saban, which he is an entrepreneur if you research what he's done outside of football. But like what is it that made him Nick Saban? Or what is it that makes somebody who continually takes people to the big show and fighting? Or what is it about somebody who is just investing and giving to other people in a big way that's making a huge impact? Because that's what I'm interested in.
I think being unreasonable is a big part of it. I can't tell you how many times I've spoken at a conference and somebody's like, well, why are you doing that? I've really only had one person, and I'm going to give him a shout out on here, who's embraced a large part of my advice for marketing as a realtor, and that's Bill Hoban, who's my cousin who lives in Atlanta. And he does podcasts and focus on local stuff, and it's just freaking positive. And he was doing some of it before, but man, he listened to it. He came and saw me at a conference, and he puts a bunch of stuff out there. And dude, like, he's a top producing agent, and they got hundreds of agents in his office.
Yeah.
It took longer because he had to stand out, but he's about my age, older guy, and he just kept going to restaurants and interviewing people and talking to people. And he didn't go like, oh, shucks, nothing's working out. He just kept doing it. And when it broke, then they're like, when somebody, just like when they look at my stuff, they're like, oh, you've done a story on every restaurant in town. It's not just one, it's an overwhelming amount of stuff.
You know, I look at, like, when it comes to like YouTube, for instance, like, let's say, which what you're doing is a little bit different, but like if you want to break out on YouTube, one of the things YouTube is looking for is for you to post consistently every day for 3 years. Then they'll consider like pushing your stuff out heavier to more people, because they want to see that you're going to be consistent over long periods of time. And you got to be able to do that with very little like positive reinforcement coming back from YouTube. You have a couple videos take off. The only other thing I do want to say before I leave, I do want you to check out my podcast, but if you have an apartment building, commercial building, or house that you need to sell, give me a call. You can call our office at 662-327-0057 or shoot me a message on Facebook, Jake Reeves. Give me a call. And not to tell you, if you want to just sell your house, call Colin. But if you need out quick, you need cash fast, commercial building, apartment complex, that's really what I'm looking at right now. But
we live in a world of abundance. I say that all the time. I have younger agents tell me all the time, like, I'm sure you're worried about me being the competition. I'm like, it's okay.
I was worried. We went to that BNI, and I know we got to wrap up. I know we got to go. But we went to that BNI group, and I really... You said something a while back that I 100% agree with. For a lot of people, putting your house on the open market is the best thing for you to do. It's just not always feasible for everybody. You know, and maybe if it's a commercial building or if it's and it's falling
commercial
in,
can kill if you have an active business.
Yeah,
like you're probably better off putting with a business broker, and you either have to brag about it or hide it. Yeah. There's no in between, because like people are gonna be like, oh, you're leaving.
Right.
It's the first thing you think. Like, I know some big restaurants in town that would sell any day, you know?
Right.
They just don't want to put it out there because you're going to lose a ton of money.
You'll lose a ton of business. And it makes it look like you're taking a step back. So, you know, if you've got commercial real estate that maybe it needs a roof, maybe it needs a paint job, maybe it needs help in the parking lot, whatever it is, give me a call, hit me up on Facebook. I'm constantly looking for new deals. And
here's the other thing. I don't think people, which is a little different with commercial real estate, if somebody thinks they're going to exit in 2 or 3 years, call him now.
Yeah.
So he has an unplanned, he's ready to jump. You can work out a deal that, like, okay, when City Trends cancels their lease or it comes up in 3 years, like, I want out of this, I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not today, but like that matters more in commercial and residential, because the world of residential changes every 18 months. But commercial stuff, you know, you have a good idea.
It's not so much like how many square foot is it. It's you know, what much rent does it bring in,
and you may potentially lose a buyer in commercial because you didn't tell them the week before.
Yeah,
because they have somebody, like, I know people who are looking for things now that if I knew a building was coming up in 6 months, Chase Bank being the best example. Chase Bank, they
commercial. Yeah.
So Chase Bank chose to be next to Starbucks on 45. Do you know how they start their hunt in markets under 100,000 people? They find the busiest Starbucks or Trader Joe's or Aldi, and we want to be as close to there because that's going to attract people who are in a national mindset of Starbucks, not local. Yeah. And that's how they think of it, and they go there, and they were like, we'll pay more. And it was funny because I met the guy who worked for Papa John's, who's Papa John's second franchisee, and I'll wrap up after this too. Yeah. But he also was one of the franchise location directors for Wendy's and for Rite Aid. And can anybody think what both those places had in common during their growth pattern? Wendy's would watch the permits, pay off building officials in every town in the United States, and as soon as McDonald's, which had spent an average of $500,000 on site selection, picked it, they would overpay for the nearest thing within a 45-degree angle of it so that they could see it. And if you start thinking of where every McDonald's is, even in town here, it's like McDonald's, and then there was a Wendy's. And the East Columbus is an exception, but 45 in other towns, McDonald's, and there's a Wendy's.
Probably because it wasn't available in East Columbus. Right there.
But so they would do that. But in big cities, they're all next to each other. And so then he moved on to Rite Aid and Wendy's, and you think of every Walgreens and Rite Aid.
Yep.
Rite Aid would copy over, and he started doing that with Papa John's. He's like, okay, we want to be within 1/8 of a mile of every single Domino's or Pizza Hut that we can, and we'll overpay because we know they've already done the research and people are already in the habit from that area. Why try to change everything? You know what I mean? And so that comes into other businesses too with commercial stuff where like, you know, when Chase came, you were mentioning Starbucks. They're like, we know those people respect national brands and out of town.
Yep.
There's not some weird demand for Chase here, but there are a bunch of Chase customers from their force base, and they are all going to Starbucks.
Yeah.
So
the other thing about commercial, and we will wrap up as soon as I say this, the other thing about commercial is when the money has to move, the money typically has to move. So on bigger deals, typically that money needs to move at a certain amount of time. So like you're either doing 1031 exchanges or you have exited something or refinanced something that you're paying like a huge interest payment on, or there's like once you have acquired, like if you're getting into that $1 million plus, if I've done something to acquire that amount of money, that money is going to need to move in 30 days. So like whatever's available right then is probably what I'm going to buy. And so, like, if somebody lets me know a little bit ahead of time, I've got some things I can leverage and move around, and I'll be ready to move. We can close in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, once we get, you know, and then we won't have to do appraisals.
Like right now, I've got a bunch of Air Force people who are like, I'm moving in July. I'm like, just list the house. They're like, well, people aren't going to want to wait. I'm like, in both of those houses, when they're contract, people are perfectly fine waiting until July.
Yep.
But they wanted that house. And you don't know. And with commercial, you better talk out loud about it. That you're a buyer, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, sellers sometimes are afraid of it, and if you're a buyer, you don't want them telling everybody. But it's a lot easier because you may run into the tenant who might be one of your tenants leaving. Like, if you can find me a bigger space, like I'm going to leave unless you give me a bigger space, and you're like, hold on.
Yep.
And you call the person who said they're retiring in 4 years, and you're like, hey, you want to sell me your whatever hot dog stand?
Yep.
All right, my friend. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, man.
Right,
had a lot of fun with you.
Hey, guys. Thanks for listening to the podcast. My name is Colin Krieger, and my day job is real estate. If you're looking to buy or sell, I'd love to talk to you. Or if you just want to sit and talk real estate in a no-pressure situation, I'd love to help you. I work with RE/MAX Partners in Starkville, Columbus, and West Point, Mississippi. I can help you find an agent anywhere in Mississippi or anywhere in the country. Just reach out to our office at 662-327-7705 or find me anywhere when you type in 662-329-SOLD.